Hey guys, Nick here. I just want to ask a very deep existential question considering what happened so far. So I really should get deep down into it, but has anyone had an experience that made them question so deeply why they exist, what they exist for, and how are they going to keep moving on with their lives despite basically going through a Taylor Swift blank space music video where the guy literally throws out your stuff, but it's not the girl, it's the guy because you're in a gay relationship? Yeah, that would be me. So I should get into it. Why am I wearing an Ireland outfit? Well, it kind of started after that. I dated this guy named Mark, and that didn't go so well, but he was not the mess that the other guy was, Mr. G. I'll just call him Mr. G. So, ever wanted to be in the horror movie called Get Out, but wish that Get Out. Yeah, his phone's ringing now. So, yeah, that guy, Mr. G. How did I meet him? Well, it all started after dating a man named Mark in Northern Ireland, and let's just say Mr. G makes Mark look like a bowl of cherries and cream. So, congratulations, Mark. You're not the worst boyfriend I ever had in my entire life. It would actually go to Mr. G. So, I think, people throw a lot of gay stereotypes that are not true. And, we are pretty diverse. And I'm also autistic, so go figure with that. But, there are things that I keep track of detail that people are like, wow, you noticed that? I'm like, well, how did you not notice that? So, where do I begin? Right. January 2023, guy contacts me, and Mr. G, or just G, guy contacts me, and we have some chemistry. There's some interest, but he's really over the moon with me. And maybe that should have been a red flag, but I just didn't, keep mention of that. And, he just was very infatuated with me. He couldn't keep his eyes off me. Yeah, he went full Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons, basically. And I was basically in my sister's bedroom playing Dance Dance Revolution Xbox in my headspace, not actually there, but like in my head, I'm playing that, and I'm just trying to think of that one song. It's like, when you feel blue, I think of you, 'cause you're true, wherever you are. But yeah, that, Lava, I think that's the name of that song, the group or something like that. And so yeah, guy guy basically said, "Why don't you come to St. Louis, Missouri?" And now you're like, why would you go to St. Louis, Missouri? Because that's where he was, and that's where he lived. So I'm living on a prayer right now. I'm like total Teddy Swims lose control, tearing the skin off my bones, and he actually called me. Yeah, G called me like a couple weeks back, and but really, let's get into it, right? He he picks me up from the airport. This is August. I just asked myself, do I really belong here? And we had some mimosas, we had an omelet. I cooked. I cooked everything because your mother's Sicilian. Your mother basically was like, you're the cook. So, right. I made a lovely meal. We had some flowers. I got him a card. He flew me to St. Louis. And unfortunately, I learned a lot of things that were not as what it seems. And when I use the Get Out reference, I'm literally meaning Get Out. I mean, like, we're talking full on, like, Key and Peele movie, Get Out, where you're just like, what horror movie did I just step into? So everything looks like a cozy family picture. Like, you see that there is clearly something not right under the surface, but everything looks fine on the surface, but under it, you're like, what the heck's going on? And you're just trying to smile and be like, okay, make casual talk. So, right, G, he's like a reviewer, editor, or something like that, and he writes in some kind of like illustration or paper. And he asked me to do like a review on this musical called Bear. it was a good musical. Like I really enjoyed it. The actors were great. They made you feel, and I mean, you really know a gay man if he watches musicals, and if he says if he loves like Anastasia, that's more millennial. So I mean, if you're a boomer, you like Yentl or something like that. Or what's that other one? A Star Is Born, but the other one with like Barbara Streisand, and not the Lady Gaga one. Because the Lady Gaga one, it's like Lady Gaga is bridging the boomers with the millennials. So that's basically what you need to know. So if you ever see a boomer daddy with a millennial son, they basically just went out of the theater to watch A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga. And the boomer is talking about how much they loved like Barbara Streisand with Christopher, whatever his name is, and then the other guy, like with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. That's the millennial version of that movie. So, right, how do I begin to tell you how much pain I went through? There was a lot of judgment. There was a lot of, if my twin brother did not ask a lot of questions, I may not be here today. I may not be I may not be standing here. I may not be telling you this story. This is one of the harshest trials of my life. Where to begin else talking about the story beats of where it all went wrong, where it all also began. There was an air about him. There was just like, I should have paid attention to the chats. We watched Total Drama Island, and it's kind of funny when you get a total 60-year-old, a 63-year-old, to watch like cartoons and see his face light up. He's just like, Nick, I didn't know you watched this kind of stuff. And then I had to tell him, I was also the only male dancer in the dance class. That's how you know it was. So, I basically follow certain gay stereotypes to a T, but yet I also like some masculine stuff, and people are like, you're gay, Nick. Be gay. And I'm like, well, what does that entail? Can you just like musicals and nothing else? And I'm like, I like more than just musicals. I like to have some showmanship. Like, you know what I mean? Even if my voice sounds so out of character half the time. This was before we watched that Bear musical thing. There was that Chris Ando thing that we watched. He's a sweet guy. Yeah, he's the one that tried to reconnect me with G. And I told him I don't want to speak to him. This is really hard. This is So yeah, one morning, right? His ex-wife. Yeah, he has kids. He has grandkids, and it's kind of cool, but also unsettling. And you're just like, so how did this all happen? And I remember when he told me the story over the phone, and we had the conversation months back, and he was telling me how he put it in and got babies, and I just thought, is that what I have to do to get kids? So it's kind of nuts. Um, his ex-wife was really sweet. I can't remember her name, but she was just very darling. I guess I could call her Darling because that's not her name, but this Miss Darling was just so nice, and she was so sweet, and she was so kind. She's like, it's like when you have tails right by your side, just telling you, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. So, I shouldn't be telling you this conversation between Darling and I, but I'm gonna just tell you what happened. So one morning, and this was before Bear the musical, and she just says to me as we're going to the bank, Nick, run. I'm like, what? And she's like, don't stay with him. You're going to be miserable the rest of your life. You're a kind and beautiful man, and you should not be with my ex. And I said, why are you telling me this? I'm warning you. Because I think you're a really wonderful guy, and you deserve better than this. And I was like, what else should I do? And she said, run. She said, run from him. Run far away. And I said, how am I going to get that? She's like, I can't help you. And Nick, I was like, yeah. we didn't have this conversation. And I was like, now I can see why this is basically the white version of Get Out. So, and it's like the black older man seduces the white younger male. And like, I mean, G's ex did a whole bunch of drugs and stuff. He looked really terrible. I felt sorry for him. I think he was South African or something like that. And I think my favorite was when he brought up the Republican representative that talked about the women body shutting down when someone forces them into a position they don't want to be in. And I was like, I just kind of like, it was just so horrifying to hear. All you did was just laugh because everyone was laughing at the joke, but the joke wasn't funny. And you just listen to it and you're like, what am I listening to? And you just point out like, yeah, this person said this, this makes me feel really, it's like toxic workplace environments, but it's like take a toxic workplace environment and make it your ex. Or I guess at the time, make it your current boyfriend. That's basically what it was, right? So, it was like, I want to build a life with you, Nick. I want to do this. And his life was in shambles. He lied about everything. He was basically living on like welfare or something. And his house did not look any better. I mean, he tried to show me how to clean up, but he made me very anxious and I got scared. And he's like, why are you getting anxious and scared? I'm like, you're scaring me. You're scaring me. You're saying things about me. After I watched that Bear musical, he got very upset with me because I went on a run to play Dance Dance Revolution, and he just always wanted me at home. He just always wanted me under his thumb. He never wanted me to work. He was even reluctant about Seattle. He was reluctant about me going to Seattle. And, I just wanted to street pass. I just wanted to be with my twin brother, right? So, I guess we're going to get into it, right? That night, I felt so frustrated. I wanted to relieve myself. So I bring the coconut oil into the bedroom and I just get to it and he sees me and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, I'm relieving myself. And he gets pissed. He looks at me, he's like, "I can't believe you'd be cheating on me." And I was like, "I'm not cheating on you. I'm basically just pleasuring myself." And like, he just took my stuff, my mugs from like Northern Ireland and all that stuff and just, he's like, "I'm going to make you look how you really look." And I was just like, I was trying to fight him. He destroyed my Switch consoles. He destroyed my Wii U. I was lucky to run off with my 3DSs in time. I mean, that was just like, he took my stuff, threw it out of the window, Taylor Swift blank space style. And he just said, "You better walk and I better never see you again." So yeah, that Chris Ando conversation, let's get into that. Right, Chris, I'm sorry, I have to say it. I really appreciate you trying to be a friend, but I do not like, let me just tell you this. I don't like being friends with an ex who's a domestic abuser. That's a no for me. That's a total no. I am saying no, I'm showing the door and get out of my life. I'm like, thank God I still lived that night. My twin brother, I called him. He told me, let me look at your teeth. He bought me a bus ticket to Las Vegas. He sung me freaking Prince of Egypt in Heaven's Eyes. And he just said to me, "You'll regain your value and your worth. You have skill. You have merit. You have talent." I had to push wheelchairs for that year. That was awful. Yeah. Mr. G, he called me. And you won't believe what he said on that phone call. And you'll applaud what I said to him. He just said to me, "Nick, are you going to apologize to me?" And I gasped. I was like, "Are you joking?" I didn't say that part. But what I did say was, this is basically what I said. I'm not apologizing to my domestic abuser. So until you, Mr. G, yeah, that guy, you apologize about the mental health state that you traumatized with me, basically made me Jamie Lee Curtis's cousin, and basically was like, yeah, Nick, you're traumatized so hard, no one wants to listen to you for the rest of your life. And you just, you go to your therapist and tell this story, and he's just, the only thing he could say to reassure you, he's not giving you money, he's not giving you treats, he's not doing that. All he does for you, because it's the only thing that therapy is, they're going to be like, you have value. You have self-worth. And he's like, plenty of men, plenty of guys will want to go on a date with you. And I said, well, how do I begin when I'm so broken? How do I? And he just said, Nick, you're broken, but you're beautiful. And I said, well, that's a nice song title, but I really just don't know how to pick my pieces up off the floor. That's because I'm basically there times a billion at this point. And I just wish I could save my twin brother. It's the GoFundMe and all the stuff and me asking for help. I know people hear sob stories every day. I know people think mine's not any different, but it really is. It really is different. I mean, how many people do you know jump into a relationship where the guy, like, slaughters your stuff in 2023 and you're still having to pay for it years later and nobody wants to listen to you? Therapy will just put you to the side and be like, they're there. And you're just like, so am I going to sue him? What's going to happen? So I just wish that I had someone to talk to. And I guess you guys are the only ones I can talk to. And maybe this puts that whole bridge situation in perspective. So I'm sorry I did that, but how am I supposed to live my life? Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm basically on a thread at this point. And people just say, give up, quit. You can't quit life. You can't quit the treadmill. The treadmill's always going to be there. You still have to keep walking. You still have to keep going. And I just wish that someone would listen to my journey, my story, and they'd empathize. And they'd say, Nick, this is what you need to do. You need to listen. You need to know that you have value, and I'm going to show you the way. They're not going to gaslight me with, oh, I'll give you $300 if you work at McDonald's. Oh, you have to do this. It's just like, I literally went through one of the worst breakups of my life from a guy in St. Louis, and your reaction is to go work at McDonald's? That's the most callous move to do to anybody. If anyone you know that was one of your friends, you would basically just, you would shudder at them. You'd be like, why are you a cold, heartless, like, why are you so horrible? Why do you not care about someone? It's like, and then someone will be like, well, you have to record it. It's like, so you want to record me being traumatized? And I have to come forward about it, and then I'll just get gaslighted with it. It's just like, Nick, no one wants to hear your story because their lives are already miserable. You know what? Sometimes the only way that wounds heal is that they're open. And if my wounds are not open and you can't see them, then I'm sorry, but maybe you're just a cruel, heartless person that doesn't know how to deal with their own trauma. So, well, I know this is the part of the video where people are supposed to do their tags and their like, comment, subscribe stuff, but I can't tell people how to live their lives because I don't even know how to live mine half the time after all I've been through. After all the tears I've had, all of the people I've worked with that touched my lives, Demeech, Riders DX, the Collectives, aka Furman, Plain Rock. You ask yourself how to keep living, and all I can say is walk. just keep walking. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep walking. So sometimes I just feel like my head is detached from my body when I tell a story, because people are always looking at little things and be like, yeah, I noticed you look this way. I noticed you look this way. And the worst thing about being like on a high functioning level of autism is people will say you're too smart to be autistic, but you're too dumb to be smart. And then you're just like, what the does that mean? So, yeah, I don't know what else more to say. I only can thank Kalaka Boy. He's actually the cameraman. He's supposed to be the director. He's a he's a really good trusted friend. If I didn't have people like that as my viewer, but he's already going through a lot too. And all I can think to myself is, how am I going to keep living? And I'm just going to keep walking. So, I ask, like, comment, subscribe. I ask so many things of people. And I think I'm just going to end it here. And I'm just going to say one last thing. And I hope guys are listening. Like, this is for all older, younger relationships. If you're an older man, please do not kick out your younger man out of his house and destroy his things and act like you're the better person. And if you're a younger guy, be careful of the older men, because they can be very, like, there's some really wonderful older men that will introduce you into gay culture. And then there are just some that are just so horrible. And also, just like, my recommendation is being open with your expectations, because you can't expect you're going to be with that person forever unless you're like the Chris and Don love story. But if I can say one thing, grow with love. Grow with love. Anyway, guys, I think it's here. Thank you for watching.